Sure.
Yes. Okay. Awesome, guys. Good evening. So basically, this is the first workshop for HACKHAZARDS 26. It's been a few days since the building period has started, and we are so excited to what you guys would come up with. So today we have with us Aman Mittal from Expo. Expo is, as you know, we have a Expo track at HACKHAZARDS, and we are so excited to see what all you guys build using Expo. And today's workshop is primarily focused on, uh, the know-how regarding what are the best ways you can build your project. And feel free after the session, feel free to post about this session on social media, and feel free to tag us, tag Aman, tag Expo. We are so excited to see you. And so, of course, yeah, over to you, Aman. All yours.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for having Expo and giving us this opportunity to
We are
talk about
grateful.
mobile apps. Yeah, so hi, I'm Aman. I work as a consultant at Expo. I primarily maintain our documentation, work on our documentation, do a lot of other stuff. So today's session is all about like building and shipping mobile apps with Expo. If you're not familiar with Expo, I'll just quickly give you an overview, like what is Expo. Basically, Expo is just a framework. It's an open source framework to build your mobile app and or web app if you want, using the same code base. We call it Expo is the way to craft your apps and distribute them as well. So currently, Expo has different tools inside it. Like there's an Expo CLI, which you can interact while you're developing your app. There's an Expo router library, which allows you to provide navigation, native navigation for iOS and Android, as well as web. Then there's Expo SDK, which is like a bunch of libraries that you need sometimes to interact with native APIs. And by native APIs, I mean like APIs like camera or like local storage on a device. Then there's Expo Snacks, Expo Go. Expo Go is basically a small app that is maintained by Expo's team to help you learn about React Native and Expo, that you can quickly prototype, you can see everything in hot reloading whenever you make a change in your JavaScript code. And yeah, all apps written in React Native and Expo are written in JavaScript or TypeScript. It's just React. If you're familiar with React, you don't need to learn anything new. It's mostly like learning about the semantics, like which component is there, but the structure of your components and everything else is similar to web. Then there's Expo Orbit, which is which I'll talk about later. It's the fastest way to do your EAS build or like distribute your EAS build and like open on your devices with your team, like your laptop or your teammate's laptop. And there's Expo Launch, which I'll also come back to it, why it exists and what it can do for you. So yeah, Expo is an open source framework. It has another part, which is called EAS, or Expo Application Services. It's a cloud platform. It's completely hosted by Expo's team, and it allows you to do a lot of stuff, but basically it takes care of all the pain points that comes when you want to distribute your app to the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. And yeah, Expo is the only React Native framework right now that is recommended by Meta. Expo as an organization was founded in 2015, and it has like 4.7 million weekly NPM downloads. Expo is everywhere right now. It is used by apps like Mistral or Replit, which are, I think, AI building apps and AI chatbot apps. It's used by e-commerce, food commerce, authenticator apps, finance apps. This is just an overview. And also social media apps like Boostat. This particular slide is only for folks who have never built an app with Expo, and it is really easier to get started. All you need is Node.js installed and your favorite package manager like npm, burn, yarn, pnpm, and you run this create Expo app command, and you get a boilerplate project. I just wanted to quickly show how it happens and just give you folks a small demo. So let me go outside of it and go to my terminal. I have not created any new project here, and I'm going to run this command with bun. I think it's faster. Let's name it. And it will download a bunch of things. It will download some packages to get you started. Once the package is created, you go to project directory and you can EAS Expo. Provided that you have either iOS simulator or Android emulator installed, or a device connected with your system. Once you reach this stage, you can also scan the QR code and open the Expo Go app on your device. But if you are like me and want to use a simulator, I already have Expo Go app installed. But if you're doing it for the first time, the CLI will take care of installing Expo Go. And I just press I to open it in iOS simulator, and it will open the default template or boilerplate project with a bunch of code inside it to walk you through like what is Expo, and you can use it as a base starter for your application. And it has routing enabled, it has hot reloading enabled. And by hot reloading, I mean, like, let's say you want to make changes to your app, and sorry about this, and and you should immediately see those changes. And this is like a very fast feedback loop, especially if you're working on mobile app. Traditionally, the tools that have been out there for mobile apps like Xcode or Android Studio.
By the way, Aman, are you sharing your terminal as well? Because only the presentation is visible right now.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Let me bring everything to the presentation screen. I'm sorry for that.
No worries, no worries.
I thought I gave it access earlier. Can you see my terminal right now? Or no?
No, Aman, no, not yet.
How about now?
Yes, now it's visible.
I apologize. That's a mistake on my end. So yeah, let's go back. Let's track back. Let's create our new Expo project. All you need is to run this command. It basically downloads the default template, the boilerplate project, if you want to call it. I use bun. It's faster. Once I enter this command, it will ask me the name of my app, and here HACKHAZARDS, and it will install a bunch of dependencies. The dependencies are useful to run this app, and once it's done, you just go to your project and run the Expo part. After doing this, it will run a bundler called Metro Bundler, and that's what runs React Native apps basically. But yeah, if you are running in on a simulator or an Android emulator, you can just press I or A. And if you are running Expo on your device, you can just scan this QR code. I already have Expo installed here, so I can just press I. And if you don't have Expo installed, it will install for you for the first time. Yeah, it says HACKHAZARDS. I just want to demonstrate, like, if you make a code change directly here. I think this project. Start it again. And I hope you can see my EAS code. More. And yeah, basically when you're developing your app, you need faster feedback loop to see your changes that you're making to a screen of your app. And yeah, once you make change in your code, you can visually see everything directly on the screen instantly. This is called hot reloading. It's a concept by React Native. Traditionally, tools like Android Studio or Xcode didn't have hot reloading. They had this compilation step, like every time you change your app UI, let's say, you need to like recompile it. I think nowadays they have previews which can show you the UI changes. This is strictly for making JavaScript or React changes. And yeah, this is how the project structure looks like for the first time. It has a bunch of app screens, like our home screen and Explore screen here. It has a bunch of components written and a CSS file because it works on web out of the box. A configuration file, which is important. If you are building apps with Expo, you can dump all of your apps configuration, like how which icon file it should use, or what's the name of your app. And if you install any Expo libraries, right now there's Expo router and Expo splash screen, and you want to configure those libraries in future, you can just go through the configurations here. And yeah, it's just a JavaScript project. Like if you're familiar with that, you might have seen the package.json and scripts like these and dependencies installed. So yeah, that's just an overview of how an Expo project looks like. So I also wanted to dive a little bit into routing. So basically, Expo router uses file-based routing, and if you have used Next.js in recent times or any other web framework, you might know, like if you just add a file here and just create a directory inside the file-based directory called app, you can just get a string. I'm just going to quickly copy paste this and screen. And once I go to my layout, so the layout is important here. The layout is basically how you structure your app's navigation, which tabs should show inside the app, or which stacks of screens should show upon one another. And you can also control the themes of your app, like if you want to support light theme or dark theme, or add any animation splash overlay. Yeah, I think the code for here is inside tabs. So tabs, and I'm just going to copy paste this and just see in the file. Settings. I can, so yeah, just use the file name once you have or like have added a screen, and it'll just start showing up there. Yeah, so this is just an overview of how things work inside an Expo app to get you help started, and so you don't feel overwhelmed by a lot of things going inside it. But yeah, out of the box, it's a TypeScript project. It follows all the latest TypeScript practices. It also comes with a DS config file that you can configure. Expo router is pre-wired. We have just seen it. Like you can just add more screens to your app or delete from the starter template and update it. Expo router automatically also handles the type based stuff, like the type, like to make types happy basically. So you don't have to like manually write or take care of anything that you add to your project as a screen. You don't have to configure it from on TypeScript, and that is automatically handled. Yeah, it comes with a tab layout. We have just seen that, and there's the Expo SDK installed. So right now, what we were seeing is was the Expo Go app, which comes also pre-installed with most Expo libraries. So Expo has like over 90 libraries, and yeah, it just works out of the box, and that is why Expo Go is a tool for learning. Going back to the presentation mode. Yeah, so this is how you build or get started to build an app with Expo. If you want to explore more, you should go through this code of the default template. It is written by our Expo engineers with the best practices and a lot of care. And you can also follow our introduction tutorial if you want to see more. Then a starter template if you want to like learn more about how to use a library like image picker, like pick an image from your phone's gallery app, or like what other configurations are required once you start building your app, like how to use or add icons or splash screens or other kind of stuff. If you use AI tools, please use AI tools. I would highly recommend them. Expo has a bunch of tools, basically 3 tools. One is Expo Skills. The second one is Expo MCP, and the third one is our docs. I'll quickly give you folks an overview of how it works, what it does, so you know you're familiar with it. Yeah, Expo skills are basically like if you have used Cloud Code or Codex CLI or any other agentic tool, they are basically markdown files with some set of instructions that your agent can follow without any hallucinations and complete the task that you give. There are a bunch of tools available here for building your app, like using the native UI, like how like the apps looks different on iOS and Android, and to follow their best practices and styling and components and navigation. This skill can help you with that. Yeah, I would just say like just get started with it and start asking questions instead of like going through each and every skill. And once you install it, the agent can also pick which skill it wants to use. The second part of this is like if you I can I mean, documentation are source of every software, like the source of truth. They should be a single source of truth most of the times, and they contain information, and sometimes the information can be hard to find. So AI agents can help you do that. We have at Expo different ways to to surface any kind of information. You can get started or point your AI agents to the documentation anytime you are stuck, and start asking it a bunch of questions, and yeah, it'll give you those answers back just by going through the documentation. And if you ever need a reference, come to this page. It's called AI agents in Expo documentation. The third part of this Expo AI tool is the MCP server. So MCP is a protocol that allows AI models to interact with external sources and also like provide you the context or the answer to your question, or try to do the task it can. Yeah, you can learn how to build a mobile app with Expo MCP. You can learn about a specific library with Expo MCP. You can manage your project's dependencies with Expo MCP, or create new builds, or like compile your app to Android and iOS. Yeah, these are some of the example prompts, and this page contains all the tools and prompts, and also like how you can set it up with your favorite AI tool. Yeah. Let's go back to our slideshow, and yeah, using Expo's available skills or MCP is just like telling your LLM or configuring your agentic tool, like, hey, go do this, and it'll start picking up things for you. Now let's say you have built something for this hackathon, and you want to distribute it to your teammate, or to the judge of this hackathon. And this is where the hard thing starts occurring. Like, mobile distribution is still the harder thing. It's harder than distributing a web app. And this is where EAS comes from. Like, the whole idea of EAS is to solve this problem, solve pain points like not using native tool chains like Android Studio or Mac OS. Like, if you're developing on Windows, you don't have access to tools like Xcode, which is required to compile your app for iOS in traditional sense. There are other stuff like code signing, which is when you publish your app, you need to generate secret keys like key stores, and Apple requires you to do distribution certificates or provisioning profiles. And you also need to keep track of like when is your provisioning profile is expiring, when you need to generate a new one. EAS takes care of that. Yeah, and then Android and iOS have their own pipelines. Like, Android uses Gradle, and iOS tends to use Fastlane if you are using any other cloud services or have used in the past. So yeah, that's another layer of complexity. And the last layer of complexity is sharing isn't built in. Like, if you build your app on your computer, you can't just share your computer with someone else. You need a native binary, which is just a file, like an APK or an AAB or an IPA. But there are steps to it, especially for iOS, like how you can distribute that particular file. Yeah, EAS solves all of these pain points, and it allows you to generate native binaries in cloud. It allows you to ship them to Play Store or test flight directly. If you're working with a team, you can and use Git or GitHub Basically, you can also create workflows. We call it EAS workflows for continuous distribution, and so that you don't have to like run a bunch of commands. You just upload your code changes to your GitHub repository and set some instructions, and it will follow those instructions and create new builds for you in cloud, like using EAS build. You can also use EAS update to send over-the-air updates. Over-the-air updates are a common practice to push hot fixes or JavaScript-only fixes to your app. You don't have to like recompile or rebuild your app from the scratch. EAS also allows you to automate iOS apps metadata and store information. You can just do it inside a file. You don't have to go through Apple developer portal, go through a bunch of pages, and if you're like me, you might end up scratching your head like what you're doing on that side. There are other tools and services that EAS provides that I will not go into details, but it might be useful later on. So keep an eye out on that. And to use EAS, all you need is an Expo account and EAS CLI. This is a slide for a best practice or a recommendation on my end. And let's take a step back to the app that we were seeing before in the iOS simulator that I was running. And as I said, that app was running inside Expo Go. And Expo Go is just a sandbox app, or you can say like it comes with all the libraries that you might need that can run inside an app. And that is a good way to learn. You cannot customize it. If you want to add, let's say in React Native world, there's a big community of people publishing custom native libraries. And by native, I mean like specifically for Android and iOS, which contains those code. You can't do that in Expo Go. So what do you do then? You can use development builds. It's a concept that allows you to build your own custom version of Expo Go. And a development build, as it says in the name, is just a debug build. And you can include any native libraries you want to install. Expo also supports writing native code, that is code written in Swift or Kotlin, if you want, and you can run that. It replaces Expo Go when you're building something for yourself or if you want to distribute it. And it's good for real development work. It's good for adding custom native code and customization as your app needs. And you don't have to worry about like upgrading it, because Expo and React Native has this release cycle of like 3 to 6 times every year. If you have a development build, you can stick to your app's dependencies unless it's required. If you want to dive into creating your first development build, you just need to run a bunch of commands. You have already seen like how an Expo project is created. And once you have done that, you can just install the Expo Dev Client library. Once you install the Expo Dev Client library, it just removes the Expo Go layer. And you can start adding your own libraries. The development server works the same way, just run npx expo start. And the next step after you have created your first, like in the process of creating your first development build, is the EAS CLI. Like this is the only CLI that I'm going to ask you to install and create your Expo account. And once you have created your Expo account, you can log into it. And first time when you're starting with EAS, you need to run 2 commands. One is to initialize and link the project to back to the EAS dashboard. And I will show you the dashboard and how it works in a minute. And the second one is to configure your EAS build. which is EAS build column configure. It will generate a file called EAS JSON, which is important for configuring your EAS build and EAS update stuff. And yeah, once you do that, you will see an EAS.json file created with 3 build profiles for development, preview, and production. The differences between these 3 profiles is that development is like your development build, it's your debug build. It's not optimized to release to an app store or like share it in a full app release version. It contains dev tools. And preview is like staging. It's more closer look to the release state or production. And production is just the final version of your app that you go and release to the app store. And if you want to quickly try it out, you can run EAS build platform all command and pass the development profile. To learn more, please go through this tutorial, which tells you everything, and you might dive deeper a bit than this particular slide. Let's say you have created your first development build. What do you do now? You can download the artifact. For Android, it's APK, and for iOS, it's the .app file. And you can use Expo Orbit, which is a tool for macOS and Windows and Linux. In macOS, it runs in your menu bar. For Windows and Linux, it runs in your system's bar. And you don't have to like open EAS or anything. You can just see which projects you have, which simulators or devices are connected to your machine, and just select a build. Just select build from EAS, and it will do that. Or you can scan the QR code. And this is where I want to demonstrate a little bit about EAS dashboard. So let me grab my other screen. Yeah. So once you sign in and you have a bunch of projects, or if you create your first project, this is how EAS dashboard looks like. I already have an example app, so I'm not going to create a new app from scratch. It takes a little bit time to do so, like creating an iOS or an Android build. Yeah. Once you have created your first development build, you can go to the development build section and just click whatever they're showing. If you are doing it for the first time, you will only have like 2 builds, one for Android and one for iOS. And let's say you and your teammate wants to work, and you have done some changes in your app, and you want to show your teammate. They can just click the install button here and scan the QR code and follow the process of like how to install this build. In case of Android, it's quite easy. It just downloads the APK file, and that's all they need. In case of iOS, it's a bit, it just adds an extra layer where they need to enable the developer mode on their iOS device, but they can still scan the QR code and install the development build. Basically, that's how the distribution when you're developing your app works. This is like the basic fundamental of it. There's also this concept of internal distribution, and EAS provides you the easy path. And how it does that and why it does that. Basically, Google and Android and iOS already gives you like Google Play Beta and Test Lite, which are like the traditional way of distributing your app with your testing team, your QA, your other teammates. But that process is time consuming. It requires you to take care of a lot of configuration and ensure that configuration is true. And then only you can go through this process of releasing them. EAS build helps you speed up this process just by using like a key inside your build profile, like distribution. If you have this distribution set to internal, you can share your preview build, you can share your build, development build. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to go to TestFlight or Google Play beta yet, and they will get the same version that you can use to share your app with these traditional methods. As I show you, like they get shareable links. They can install through QR code. For iOS, you can add more devices. Like for example, you have your teammate has another iOS device. You will need to add it to your EAS account so that it knows which device it needs to install that iOS app. And you can use EAS device create command for it. And if you want to learn more about internal distribution builds, this is a tutorial chapter that you can do so. And yeah, basically this is how EAS.json looks like when you run your EAS init command for the first time inside your project. You can configure it, but you don't need to if you don't have anything specific required. Yeah, the next part is over-the-air updates. So there's this EAS update service that allows you to share bug fixes or JavaScript, TypeScript fixes. And by bug fixes, I mean only like inside the JavaScript, TypeScript code. If you have bugs or like a native code or a native library configured wrongly, or incorrectly, you still need to like rebuild your app because it requires to go through that compilation process. Yeah, it's useful for working in teams. It might be useful in your case since you're inside this hackathon to share with your judges when you want to like quickly fix something and then present it. In a real world scenario, it's also useful between App Store releases. So for example, like I want to make a copy change or a copy fix. I don't have to like recompile my app and go through like the whole process of building a new version of my app. I can just release, I can use EAS update and just release an over-the-air update. EAS update requires you to use Expo updates library. That library configures your project. And it also requires you to use EAS CLI to create these channels. And these channels are basically telling EAS update, like if you're using all these 3 profiles and you fix a bug in your app and you release it, you need to tell it like for which version, like it's a development build or a preview build or a production build. So that's where channels helps you. And yeah, that's all you need to know to get started with EAS update. One last topic that I wanted to touch here was CI/CD pipelines. It's useful because once you start building your app and you create these EAS build, and the process might get tedious, like you have to remember to run the build command to run every time, or remember to use a particular profile. You can use EAS workflows. If you have used GitHub Actions in past, basically EAS workflows are GitHub Actions for mobile apps. They are made for shipping every day. All you need to do is define a workflow inside a YAML file, .yml file. And you can set some instructions like, hey, whenever I push my code to the main branch, do this, or like, and to do this part is like ship and development build. And when I use a release tag, ship a production build. So the process gets much more easier. And if you want to dive into more about how to manage your builds and submit your apps, or like decide between when to build and when to use updates, I would highly recommend to dive into this topic of fingerprints. And to give you folks an overview, what Fingerprints does is like it's a decision maker. It tracks your projects or your builds hash. So every build you create with EAS has a hash value, which is unique. And it decides if you have made only JavaScript or TypeScript code changes in your app, it will create an update automatically. And if there are any native changes, that means the hash has changed, and it will create a development preview or production build. So it's a very unique concept. It's also like saves a ton of time, and you can just hand over the decision making to Fingerprints. Let's say you have reached the final stage of your app development journey and you want to ship it to app stores. Use EAS Submit. It's a free service. It's a final step to the mobile app distribution. If you want to build a web app or like you want to share code with your web app, you can just run npx expo export with platform web and try EAS hosting. And if you don't want to run a bunch of commands and just ship your app directly to test flight, you can use launch.expo.dev today. It currently supports iOS apps. Just ask you a bunch of questions and details about your Apple developer account, which is a requirement here. Or you can just use npx test flight, which will also walk you through the same process, but from a command line interface. Yeah, if you are using Expo for the first time, please go through these resources. They will definitely help you. We have like an introduction tutorial that goes through all the fundamental parts. If you are looking into distributing your app, go through our EAS tutorial or our general distribution app store guide, which tells you like what are the things that you need to know, or what are the behind the scenes things happens when you publish your app with the app stores and things you need. And if you're interested in automating your build, update, submit pipeline, please try EAS workflows today. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to me. And if you decide to sign up for Expo account, please use HACKHAZARDS as the coupon code. You'll get 1 month free of Expo Startup Plan, which gives you $45 worth of credit to build your Android and iOS apps. And if you need any support during this hackathon from our team, please join us at chat.expo.dev. We have a huge and welcoming Discord community, and we also do office hours bi-weekly. So you can also join and ask questions to me or my colleague whomsoever is present. Yeah, try it out. Try expo.dev if you're doing it for the first time. If you have already tried it out, yeah, share your feedback with us at Twitter maybe, or maybe Blue Sky or any other app. And yeah, thank you.